Hello! Today we will be talking about the concept of perception and how we use it to make sense of the world around us. Think about taking a dog for a walk. We are able to know when the dog is pulling on a leash, when a neighbor waves at us, when a plane flies overhead, and so on. But how does our body know what to do? Perception occurs in two main steps. First, we do something called bottom-up processing. This is the physical sensation aspect of perception. This requires use of our senses like smell, vision, hearing, touch, taste, and proprioception. After our body receives a stimuli, it sends it up to the brain, and the second step, top-down processing, occurs. Top-down processing is how we interpret our sensations using our knowledge, experiences, and thoughts related to the stimuli we're experiencing. Let's now take a deeper look at what's happening in the sensation process. Today, we're going to stick to two senses, touch and proprioception. Touch or tactile sensation allows us to distinguish different textures by touch. Proprioception allows us to understand where our body is in space. So first, let's talk about touch or tactile sensation. An example of touch would include the owner holding the leash while walking the dog and petting the dog. He can feel the dog's soft, fluffy fur and the force of the dog pulling the leash. But how is this tactile sensation detected by our skin? Within the skin, there are different types of receptors that detect pressure and vibration. The 5 major mechanoreceptors are Merkel's discs, Meissner's corpuscles, hair follicle receptors, Pacinian corpuscles, and Ruffini's endings. Activation of these receptors allows us to feel touch, but what about proprioception? Receptors called muscle spindles in our muscle fibers and receptors in our tendons called Golgi tendon bodies give us information about the movement of our muscles. But how do we take all this information and move it up to the brain? These receptors convert the sensation into nerve impulses that travel up to the brain. The nerve impulse is going up to the brain via the dorsal column medial lemniscal pathway. That's a really big word, but don't let it intimidate you. It's simply describing the area of the spinal cord and brain the nerve impulse is taking to get to the brain, kind of like a highway. The final destination of the nerve impulse for tactile sensation is the primary somatosensory cortex. The final destination for proprioception is the cerebellum. Now we can see why it's called bottom-up processing. That's how sensation gets to the brain, but how do we make sense of it all? This is where top-down processing of perception comes in. Top-down processing allows us to use our knowledge, experience, and thoughts to interpret our senses and to take action. Say it starts to storm during their walk. The man sees dark clouds and lightning, hears thunder, and can feel the wind. The man uses recognition and previous knowledge of storms to process this information. He thinks, it's going to storm, we'd better get inside for safety. Think of all the different senses that can be perceived from the world around us. If we didn't have top-down processing, this could be pretty overwhelming. Thankfully, this process all occurs without us even thinking about it. Now, let's go over some main points. Perception is how we make sense of the world around us. Perception occurs in two main steps, bottom-up and top-down processing. Bottom-up processing is gathering information through our senses. This information is detected by receptors, turned into neural signals, and sent up to the brain. Tactile and proprioception is detected via mechanoreceptors and sent up to the brain as well. Top-down processing refers to using our previous knowledge, experiences, and thoughts to make sense of our environment. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to perceive you again soon.